it will not be considered as an on-demand course for CP credit. CP credit, a report will be downloaded by the board after this webinar showing the exact time when an attendee joins and exits the meeting. This will be used for validation of your attendance. To earn one CPE, you must remain on the webinar in its entirety. A grace period will be given at the beginning and the end of the meeting. The professional code of ethics drives your attendance. The CPE distribution, you are going to get a link to the CPE certificate at the end of this meeting. We will post in the chat, and we'll also send via email. We have approximately 30 days to download it for your records. Within the next 7 days, you are going to get the email with the link following the webinar event. Where can you find that? You can go to the member-only content, chapter library, folders, and folder contents. You can go there and find a copy of the presentation. Not all members, not all presenters offer a copy, but Omar kindly offered to share a PDF copy of his presentation. I want to use this moment to call your attention to our December meeting that's going to be in person in Columbia Tower. So we will announce soon the name of the panelists and the topic, but it's going to be an interesting one. We have someone that has a lot of experience, like all the speakers that we bring. The presentation today is control testing methodology in changing times. We have Omar as our presenter, and I'm going to share here his bio that is in our website. Is in the ISACA Puget Sound website, where you have a description of his presentation. And Omar is a licensed CPA and certified CISA, CIA, PMP professional with over 25 years of experience helping public and private companies get SOX compliant and enhance their internal control through sound risk assessment procedures, focused controls, documentation, testing, and remediation. Additionally, he served as the CFO of a $400 million pharmaceutical group and was the head of internal audit of a $700 million construction company. He led several external and internal audits for organizations ranging from $20 million to $20 billion in revenue. He's the founder and CEO of PMSOX, a trusted and reliable source of qualified dynamic virtual auditors, or DVAs. PMSOX offers an alternative delivery model for audits and compliance programs with an approach that leads to increased efficiency and reduces costs, motivates the staff through a smart process technology, and a motivated crowdsourced network of qualified auditors. With that, I want to move to Omar. I'm going to stop sharing here, Omar, and now you can share your slides. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Let me here. Okay, is my slide? Can you guys see my slide?
Yes, it's good there.
Perfect. Hey, thanks, Eduardo. Thanks, April. Thanks, Abby. You guys did a great job getting this organized. I really appreciate the efforts here. And thanks everybody for joining us today. It's great really to see so many of you interested. So I'm Omar Mghari. I'm founder and CEO at PMSOX. Today we're going actually to be talking about a lot of hot topics and things that we've been hearing about and seeing from the current landscape on compliance. And this is, I'm sure it will be of interest to everybody. So, and especially as we get through also the final stretch here to get through the year end, I think, and then even as we start thinking about fiscal year 2023 planning and budgeting and so on. So as we've seen just recently, the audit profession is confronting unprecedented challenges. So we've seen like the great resignation phenomenon, as well as the high quit rates of auditors, a turbulent audit environment. We've seen some of the PCAOB pressure, increased SEC scrutiny, the new ASG standards, and not to forget the 20th SOX anniversary, reminding us that SOX is here to stay. So in this landscape, we need some streamlined audit work. We need to respond differently to this challenge. So that's the purpose of this topic today, is to try to give you an alternative service delivery model that would add efficiency, reduce cost for all audit departments in all settings. So what I want to do is to start with a polling question here. And this is just so we can get a sense of the audience and see if how many of the audience we have as IT auditors, how many perform just 9 IT audits, how about those that perform both of us? I mean, I've been in both sides, to be honest with you. So the question is there. So please take a moment to answer that simple question. So personally, I've been doing IT audits, business audits, and different kind of compliance audits, operational audits with engineers with different settings. And it would be nice to know how is the audience is represented here. So a few seconds, and then we'll move on with the results. Okay, great. So it seems we have like almost half of the audience. They've been working exclusively on IT audits, which is, I think, normal because we have this is an ISACA event. So definitely, and I'm glad to see a lot of people like myself working on both sides. So that's almost 1/3. So that's great. So it's good to know here that we have a good mix here of the audience. And to be honest with you, this presentation it's not really about what we're auditing. It's about how we audit, and that's why we have this title of a different way to audit different subjects. So let's get started with some of the survey, some of the surveys and statistics we have. Okay, so I want to share with you a few things here. I mean, these are some of the latest statistics we've seen. This is a Gartner research in 2022. It's presenting the top challenges we've seen. And as you can see, the audit leaders, they were asked a question: what are the top challenges you have? And I think this was done on more than 100 audit leader, and to be exact, it's 166. And these are the top challenges that they've listed. You can see that attracting talent with non-traditional audit skills. And we will talk about this as we move forward. This is critical. This is the first time we've seen, at least like for the few years, we've seen that the majority of audit leaders, they're looking for non-traditional audit skills. So we have also the advanced analytics techniques. So that's obviously with the abundance of data, of big data also. So we're looking at auditors being able to really, look at that haystack and really look for some insights from the information we have. Then we have cybersecurity as number 3. That's 53%. They see that as an audit challenge, and that's really something, a rising issue for internal audit, external auditors. So cybersecurity is a big topic, especially now. The ACC, they have we have some ESG standards in a draft format and their comment. So we will see probably in the few coming months some of the, what the ACC will come up with, but certainly should be on the plate of all internal audit departments for fiscal year 2023. And then I think we have other things, but these are some of the key topics. I will let you read that, but definitely this is a big research. I advise everybody really to go and look at the details. Okay. Another one from Accounting Today, a reputable source of accounting information, accounting trends, and we're talking about the hiring managers having a hard time, because of this great resignation issue, finding talent. So that's a big issue with the workforce right now. And this is hitting all industries, including the auditing and accounting industry. So definitely the issue is there, and it's tough to keep people engaged and find the right talent. This is Deloitte. Deloitte, they did similar, research here, and they found that the compliance team, some of the top challenges, as you can see here, we have 39% of all respondents, they cited resource capacity or capability as issue number 1. And so that's the resource issue is really a problem, not only of attracting that talent, but also retaining talent. So capacity, capability, so whether in terms of numbers, the right size of the team of auditors we need, or in terms of the skill set. And we'll get deeper as we go here. Now, here we have the top 5 risks faced by organizations. So this is proactivity. They issue a and I urge everybody really to take a look at that. It's an annual report on compliance, mainly on SOX compliance. And they have a comprehensive overview, strong survey of hundreds of audit leaders. So you see here the top risks that we see. And again, this is just consistent from 2021 to 2022. We see cybersecurity being number 1. And again, we need that's just like signaling. It gives the signal that we need to think about that as we move forward to fiscal year 2023 planning. We see the fourth element here, human capital. So it's again resources. The resource issue is here. Now here we asked, this is another survey from KPMG just this year, and asking audit leaders and their confidence in their audit teams. So as you see here, we're trying to look at the same problem from different perspectives, different sources. So here, basically 41% of the audit leaders, only 41% are satisfied with their team skill set. And you can see that more than, it's like almost 60%, they rated their team's ability to meet customer needs or the business need as average or below average in this case. So let me probably here, I presented you, so this is another important question, but I presented you with the statistics here, so the main statistics. And it would be nice really to know, the audience, what you guys think, or what skills you think are important for, or the most important actually. I know a lot of you would love to, to check a lot of these. but I appreciate if you can focus on the top one you think will be most important to auditors at this time. So we have few things there. So audit 101, that's basically just any basic skills for an auditor. And then we're talking about the business side, knowing the business, being innovative, the technology, mastering technology and data analytics, and the collaboration, change management. And if you're thinking of something else, then you have another answer. Okay, I think a few seconds here, and then we'll move on. Okay, I can see the results. Thank you for answering this. Yeah, that's, I would say, as expected. We have an amazing audience here. I think we're in sync together, what we're saying here, what we're presenting today, with what I see from your expectations. It seems it's we're in a lockstep here. So business, you rated business 45%, rated business knowledge and acumen as number one key skill for an auditor. The second one being technology. The second one, collaboration. So 1/3 they rated technology as the main skill, and the third one 18% on collaboration. And I think the last rating was for audit 101. I think that's what we've seen. That's what we see right now with our clients. That's a great, I think that's a great representation of the audience is very representative with, I think, with what we see right now as what auditors, what audit leaders are looking for. So definitely this gives us a direction to what kind of skills here we need to prepare these auditors, these young auditors to enter the workforce. Yeah, great answers. Now let me here see, now we're presented really the issues here, the current environment, but we would like to see as audit leaders, how really, people adjusted to this, how these audit leaders are adjusting to this problem. Another interesting perspective here, because at the end of the day, we need to remember as auditors that we're serving the business, where the goal is really to pushing forward in the same direction as the business, and helping the business really accomplish those goals. So this is interesting. 51% of CEOs, this is a KPMG study, and this is, again, it's an annual study. It's the CEO Outlook report, brilliant analysis, brilliant perspective. And it gives you really the pulse of what's going on. So 51% of CEOs are considering layoffs in the few coming months. So what does that mean? Again, 79%, it says US CEOs have already expected and began planning for a recession. So those two red flags for us as auditors, what does that mean? So we need to pay attention to the level of change. So as we're planning 2023, we should expect a lot of movement. I think, as we've seen also in a lot of businesses, they start pivoting with the pandemic and with all the pressure, the economic pressure, the recession. So they starting like supply chain problems that we've seen. So a lot of pivoting, a lot of business changes, mergers, acquisitions, big level of activity. So that means for us as auditors, high level of change. People will be, transitioning. So make sure that the controls are not, lost in that transition. So we need to look at that. We need to see how we can really help process owners stay in charge and really master that transition, and help them, make sure design the new controls, make sure that, segregation of duties. That's, the classical issue when people start leaving, or we start replacing some key staff members. I think that's, we see all those problems. High risk of fraud, obviously. So I think we all know part of the fraud triangle that we're here in a very, it's a propitious environment. It's a really an amazing environment here for fraud to be there. So we need really to increase our professional skepticism level and make sure that our auditors are aware of these things. So now talking about the resources issue, talking about the landscape, there is also a pressure from cost perspective. So Protiviti, they showed this interesting report here, and this just shows here, it shows like the cost in 2021 and the cost 2022. As we can see here, there is across the board, regardless whether you're small filer or a big corporation or issuer, cost went up by 20%, 15, 13. So I would say an average of 10%. So that's to an average of $1.5 million spent just on SOX. This is just SOX, by the way. It's not internal audit. It's not the external audit fees. So just SOX. So it's really significant. It's a significant amount of money that is spent on SOX compliance only. So, and that's where really I want to get you to another interesting important question here. Are you really facing those cost pressures from your side? Whether we're talking about here, again, this is large, internal audit, SOX, compliance, other PCI, HIPAA, any compliance programs really we're talking about, cybersecurity. So where do you see really the cost pressure coming from, and how much is it really? Is it to a large extent, just or less than that? So, okay, so few seconds here. Just want to make sure we have the right time remaining for some interesting case studies that we have at the end. To make really this presentation enjoyable and practical to the fullest extent. So perfect. So so here we have so the results. I'm not sure if everybody finished first. I'm sorry. So if you need some time to finish.
I can't relaunch it. I'll start over. So we'll just go with this.
Okay. Yeah. So I think probably the expectation is just like we just said, the cost pressure is there. So nobody can deny that, whether it's by the level, the variety of things we have in front of us, the variety of subjects. So we have who responded to really to yes, we have like 45 and 60, 65, 2/3. Basically, 2/3, they agreed that the cost pressure went up. The cost pressure is there for fiscal year 2023. And 1/3, they say, no, the overall budget remains stable. Good for you guys. I think that's really, that's indicative. I mean, we have 2/3 agree that there is some kind of cost pressure on their compliance program. Great response. Thank you again for participating here. So as we look at all this in light of what we've seen so far and all of these issues, obstacles, challenges, the audit leaders, they need to seek some really miraculous healing powers. And really, it's a tough position to be in right now, but at the same time, it's really a very interesting one where we really can position ourselves as a big adding value really to the business in this turbulent environment. So they need really some powers here, and we believe that those powers are represented by more efficiency, obviously, and then less costs. You've seen the cost pressure, and everybody's expecting more and more expenses, and innovative ways to retain talent. And again, I'm stressing like retaining rather than attracting, because that's most of the time, that's the new challenge we're facing, it's retaining. We could, attract any person we want, within the parameters of the company, but still retaining that person, retaining that auditor, and exciting that auditor and keeping the auditor engaged. It's a big challenge, as we will see. Now, what we've seen from audit peers, other leaders, doing really to weather here the storm, because this is really a storm coming to us, like as to the whole, I think, to the whole economy, to the whole in all industries, including the audit industry. So what we have here is some audit leaders really, and especially with work from home and the pandemic restrictions, we have virtual coffee meetings scheduled with non-audit peers, and this is the challenge. I think most of you, or all of you, you've been before the pre-pandemic situation where we really, go to the office. We can, get coffee. Walk into hallways, have discussions, start side discussions, and get a lot of things really done. And just probably having that relationship and getting the relationship with non-audit peers that will help us, moving forward with our agenda and getting our annual audit plan done. So virtual coffee meetings, it's an interesting thing. They should be scheduled, actually. So that's and that takes time. Automation initiatives, I'm sure a lot of you, they've been experiencing that for years now. That SOX is at the 20th year. So we've seen a lot of automation going on, but that should really continue. Assigning exciting projects to auditors. So again, probably here, the message again is reversing the roles. It's not about us as audit leaders. It's about those auditors. It's about our team. We need to make sure we take care of them. And we need to make sure that they get excited by the work they're doing. So that will avoid the burnout and make really a good work-family balance there. Finally, or experiment some alternative delivery models. And that's we will talk about that. We have a whole case study about this, and you will see how it will work. Now, so that's what I call the testing approach. And here today, probably just for the sake of time, we're trying to focus on just testing. And again, you can apply this approach to whether you're talking about scoping, risk assessment, design assessment, or walkthroughs, control documentation, or testing by itself, operating effectiveness testing, or at the end, the controls, the deficiencies evaluation, even writing your item 9A and documenting the final report. But for the sake of time, we're focusing on testing. So what are some of the new testing approaches we see that will really help, again, with that resource issue we've seen before and that cost pressure, okay, that we all agree on, at least the majority of us here. So here, since we're talking, another important question here, since we're talking about testing, I would love really here to hear from the audience and see, as you're testing controls, again, in a large extent, whether SOX, internal audits, other compliance programs, what is really the most challenging time, or the most challenging or time-consuming step that you see here? Is it writing appropriate test plans? Because that might be really a challenging. It's a time-consuming, just through my experience. It's a time-consuming one, but it's a critical one. Okay. Identifying, that's the evidence. So we all know chasing process owners for evidence. That doesn't end. It's an endless process, and trying to work with competing priorities. Follow-ups with control process owners, or testing, examining sample units, so doing the actual testing, or like what we talked about, the item 9A, or control deficiencies, or just summarizing the whole, all the findings. So I think just a few seconds here and see the results, please. Okay. So interesting, very good distribution here. We have the top concern of the audience is almost half of the audience, 45%. They have issues, they see problems with follow-ups with control process owners. That's exactly what we've been talking about. So I've seen that, and we cannot blame really these process owners. The business is hit by other priorities. They have other issues. They have other things in their plate. And so we really need to be as close as possible to them. And remember those, suggestions that I just suggested just before here. We need to maintain that relationship, and that it takes time, patience. As auditors, I think we've seen a lot of it's tough. It's tough really to go through getting the job done, getting work done, while keeping those relationships healthier. So that's number one. Number two, we have identifying, collecting evidence. That's I agree. That's really time consuming, back and forth, and getting the sample units and getting everything. Writing test plans, as I talked about, it's 17%. So those are the top issues that we see here. Excellent. I think that's we're in the same boat here. We agree. So the testing within the whole compliance program, it's a painful process. It's time consuming, and it's really it takes a lot of effort to go through it. Great. So now, what's this suggestion here? What is this alternative model? So we call that the shared virtual auditor or dynamic virtual auditor. This is a model, and it's an alternative delivery model that is will allow you as and again, this is for audit leaders. They can be used by managers, senior managers at all levels, even by auditors, by junior auditors, so they can get the help they need. And this is available on demand. So you don't really need to hire a person full-time or hire even a consultant on an hourly basis. And then, keeping the consultant billing hours. So this is just available on demand. Just it's a fixed budget per transaction. So you really don't, you pay for what you get. You really don't pay for time. It's pay for performance. So it's a guaranteed system or delivery model. The quality is guaranteed. You pay when the work is done to the quality standards that have been assigned or detailed and communicated. Again, the big here benefit is having a diverse skill set, and you see here, and each point here you see we talked about before. It's a challenge, and I've been in situations with clients where really we get, like, for example, to the point that we needed like a technical consultant for SAP, not just SAP, going down. It's a revenue process, and even further, we want somebody really knowledgeable or expert into the SAP billing module. So it was really, it took us some time really to find the right resource at that time and get the job done. So it's not easy really, to find the right resources.
Hey, Omar.
Yes.
Can I interrupt for a second? There is a couple of questions in the chat. Do you want to take those now or wait?
Yeah, we can take them now if you want. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The first one is, do you see an opportunity for companies to do a better job of auditing since more intrusion and significant data loss continues to occur?
Of auditing since... Yeah, and that's a great question. So we're talking about the cybersecurity problems that we've seen. And again, a lot of companies, the question is not if, but it's when. It's so we just, all companies basically are target of cyber threats, and we've seen also the ACC taking interest into this. So this is really an opportunity for companies really to step up. Like, I think I agree with the question here with the attendee, with participant. It's really, we need that. That's just companies, they need to come forward and step up, you know, get their skill set and have the right resources in their team to you know to get done with this this problem. But
Okay.
yeah, I agree.
Thank you. And then the next one is, how do you control to ensure the quality is the same across the testing? It sounds like they have issues and have to always kind of consult with the Big Four.
Yeah. Again, yes, this is a recurring issue that we see. Quality is a concern, and why you want to have the right quality in your testing, because you would like to have higher level of reliance from your external auditors, and by having that higher level of reliance, hopefully you're reducing your audit fees, your external auditor fees. So it's always, I think it's normal from one side to see that, and I would encourage that communication with the external auditor to be in the same page, what they consider acceptable. I personally worked with all the Big Four. I consider them, you know, completely. It's like a different school of thoughts. So they have they have different preferences. I mean, while the goal is the same, is having that level of assurance for the shareholders, but still, you know, they might take some different strategies. But the good news is that if you engage in that nice communication early enough in the process, I think, and set the expectation with your external auditors, I think that would help a lot to get through this. And the key, again, number two, the supervision. You know, that's the key to the quality. You need to have the right level of supervision to your testing, and obviously being consistent. So the consistency, it comes with supervision, with training, with the right checklists to make sure that that everybody's on the same page, that we're all consistent. So, but yeah, great question.
And sorry, one last one. We have someone raised their hand. They've been allowed to talk.
Sure. Hey, Tapin.
Was the raised hand an accident?
Yeah, I think the person is muted.
Asked to unmute. There we go.
Oh, it was an accident, actually.
Okay. All right, let's continue. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, yeah, please keep those questions coming. I mean, really appreciate the interaction here. So so we were talking about the alternative model here, and we get to the sourcing and onboarding costs. So basically this is on demand. So you don't pay to onboard, you don't pay recruiting fees, finders fees, and the resources, they hit the ground running. There's no supervision required. Yeah, we just talked about this, because this is a managed service. So you get the full package. You get the controls tested, reviewed, QC'd, with a PMO managing the whole process. So that's the added value of this model. And again, we're not talking about virtual software here, just connecting to your infrastructure and IT infrastructure and pulling evidence or something. These are real auditors like me and you that will be assigned to work with the company, with the head of internal audit and auditors, and help them get work done. So that's how we look at this shared virtual arm, but they work very remotely. So that's the only thing here. So So those are some of the benefits. Let me move forward here. And then probably just so we can make this clearer for everybody, we want really to make this, look at this shared virtual auditor model in action. So I think I came up with this case study, so just we can, get closer here together to understand what we're talking about. So the issue, for example, we have this case study or use case. The internal auditor director of a public pharmaceutical company was asked by the audit committee to get the internal audit team involved in a strategic M&A due diligence transaction, which will take most of their time for the rest of the year. And I'm sure a lot of you, they've been through this before. It's never a static. We would love to have that, as head of internal audits before, we used to go through the same process. We have our annual audit plan. We discuss with the business. We collect all that, those requests, and we try to, put together our annual audit plan. And hopefully, things will keep going as planned, but it never works like that, especially in this environment right now. So expect a lot of change. And like in this case, last minute change, mid-year, you have tons of things to do in your annual audit plan, but then you have this request. Obviously, this is strategic. It should be taken care of. And internal audit, probably auditors, they will be excited. Why the internal auditors are excited about the opportunity, the annual audit plan, including SOX and cybersecurity assessment, will suffer. So that's a problem. The solution here that I suggest is this shared virtual auditors delivery model. And again, this is just to give you an example how you can use that to your benefit while you keep doing your work and being responsive to the business. Because at the end of the day, we want to be that support the business for us to stay relevant for the business. And again, I'm sharing, since we're talking testing, I will let you go through these numbers, but I will. This is Productivity 2022, and this is just talking about how much testing lasts. I think we agreed in the polling questions that this is really time consuming, and you can see testing of operating effectiveness, the average is 6 hours per control. Management review controls, 5.6. IPE, almost 5 hours. And SOC reports, we used to call them 70 reports, but now for a few years now, it's like SOC reports. So these reports, they are really time consuming. I've seen a client with 50 service organizations that we use to receive and to analyze every 6 months for SOX purposes. So, and this is spanning business side, IT, apps, side, and ITGC. So it's really a lot of work. So I summarized this for you in this slide. So the average time, just to keep in mind, to test one control is 6 hours. And so this is a time-consuming activity. So let's see here how we're dealing with this. And I want really to poll the audience here and to understand who really performs testing in your organization. Again, testing, I've seen different models. I've seen internal audit taking the lead, or like at maturity, probably there is like a SOX function, a separate one. Sometimes it's just finance and accounting. They just take the lead on that, or we outsource that. Some companies, they outsource this to third-party service providers. I've seen some clients doing self-testing, and it was interesting. Let's say HR, they would test some controls for let's say for AP, or AP would test AR. Some level of self-testing. But again, so how much reliance we can put on that? That's a big question. But yeah, I think you had your time to answer here. Okay, so half are talking about internal audit being the function that does that. I think this is, and then third-party service provider, 17%. self-testing is 7%. A separate SOX function is just 3%. I think we can relate to this because, I mean, these numbers probably 10 years ago, they wouldn't be like that. But because now that SOX came to maturity somehow, even if the challenges are still there. So internal audit, they start, taking over and having that as a permanent function or permanent activity as part of their annual work. So yeah, great participation here. So what's the solution then? How would we manage that case study that we just talked about, this internal audit director? So the structure of the shared virtual auditor project is as follows. So basically you have a PMO. And again, this is all managed by the third party. So you have a PMO that will be your main point of contact. That's the main contact for the client. These resources, that's all 15 plus years of experience for senior level positions, and 5+ years for other like testers, reviewers, positions. So this is highly qualified and experienced resources that will work on your project. The PMO will define the project, scope, plans, status reporting, and everything with the client. So one point of contact for the client. So you don't really to manage, 10 people and look at their timesheets and their work and supervise their work. So this is all done by the PMO. PMO is assisted by project managers, and they are subject matter experts in their fields. As you know, if we take just SOX, there are 4 areas. So you have one ITGC, that's a completely different world from IT apps. You're running maybe SAP or Oracle. And you have business process controls. Those are manual controls and the key reports, Excel spreadsheets. And you have fraud programs, you have a tax program, you have cybersecurity. So all these they need SMEs. So we staff them as accordingly. So we have project managers, we do that. And these project managers, they really supervise the reviewers and testers that are, they work with them towards the schedule that was, and then you have a team, or what I would say, an army of reviewers and testers, because usually this model works on crowdsourcing basis. So instead of hiring 2 consultants for 2 months to get your work done, we hire 10, 15 people and get the work done in few days, rather than spending 60 days doing the work or more. So that's the advantage, but obviously that's why we have the managed service here. It's about supervision. Okay, and we have, you have a whole structure for this. So reviewers perform QC and supervise the testers' work, and then the testers, they use the client test plans to examine the evidence and report findings. So this is the structure of the whole thing. And now, what does that mean for the head of SOX or head of internal audit or the client? So this shade, obviously, it takes care of the tedious testing of controls for my team at a fraction of time, because like you said, we have a crowdsourcing, usually it's a crowdsourcing basis, and at less cost. We're not talking about full-time employees. We're not paying finder's fees. We're not onboarding them. We're not training them on our software or something, or like for any kind of audit board or any other Galvanize or any other compliance software. We take care of that, all in a fully managed, simple, and worry-free service. So the head of internal audit doesn't need, or her team, they don't need to supervise these consultants, these freelancers, these virtual auditors. They don't, because these this team, these virtual auditors, they work on a fixed budget and with an outcome pay for performance basis. So if the work is not done properly, it just it's reviewed and it's reperformed until it is done to the standards, to the agreed standards. Now, from the other side, as you know, those freelancers that work on this model, a lot of them are full-time. So a lot of them are full-time, really employees somewhere, or they have, or part-time consultants somewhere, and they have some extra bandwidth here, and they want really to be involved with some lucrative ways on flexible schedule without the effort of finding projects. So we do that for them, and they get to really get, you know, it's really a good mix here, and all expectations are met from both sides. Now, probably in a few minutes I think we still have some time to go through a couple of slides here. So now, what does that mean? How does it impact your 2023 planning? If we want to look at that, what are the things you see here? So the first thing, it's about continuous improvement within you know, a non-blaming culture. So we want to go through these lessons learned, and that's how we want to improve. Second, we take into consideration the business requirements. Again, we need to stay relevant. It's not about us, it's about the business. So the focus should be shifted here, and we should, you know, really be as looked at as business partners. Annual audit plan. So we need to be realistic here. So, and explore the available, you know, surveys, studies. I've shown you a few things, but there are a lot of things out there. You can get help, and for benchmarking purposes, so you can really know what to expect given all this changing environment. So then we need to look at the auditors and make sure that we look at their well-being first, and take care of our staff, because at the end of the day, it's about retaining talent. So we've seen, you know, the scarcity of resources, whether quality or quantity. So if we have a team, we really need to make sure that we're considering their goals, their professional development goals, and make sure that we're meeting those properly. And then considering like a shared virtual auditors model as an alternative. And again, start small. You don't have really to, you know, to outsource 100% of the work. No, this is meant to be piece by piece. Hey, I have an issue with this. I'm stuck with this new location that we just opened. I need to get through those 100 controls. I need, you know, a team to get this done in no time. So, so it's again, the advantage of cost and schedule is tremendous here. And then we close the loop, and then that's the planning process. So we keep looking at this, and as we move forward. So just one last probably here word about what we really do at PMSOX. It's we provide controls testing as a service through a professional platform of qualified on-demand testers, reviewers, project managers, PMOs, guided obviously by dedicated PMO. So these are senior and experienced people that will take care of the work. Whether it is about SOX, just an internal audit, a maintenance audit, an HR audit, is it a PCI, HIPAA, cybersecurity? So because we have 150 plus professionals, we you know, with all the skill set that you can imagine, then they should be helpful to all areas.
Hey, Omar, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
We are time check here. We have 3 minutes left. There were a couple questions in, but if you could just say a couple closing things that are most important takeaway, that would be great.
Sure. Great. So here we go. The key takeaways: stay as close as possible to the business to be relevant. So budget time for that. It takes time to have those relationships and keep them. They help you down the road. Think about what we call now, at least I've seen KPMG talking about this, SOXification of ESG, cybersecurity, fraud. So these things coming in scope for us. Be realistic about estimating the level of effort for the next year, and think about ways to make your 2023 audit journey enjoyable for your team. And thank you for your attention. Any questions? We'll take it.
Yeah, so let's see, how does this model ensure end-to-end security and privacy of data, especially for EU privacy requirements? And I think that was related to the, let's see, SVA model.
Yes. Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, we take care. I mean, these models, they are discussed when it comes to security, when it comes to privacy. You know, virtual auditors are like any other consultants. They follow the rules. There are agreements, there are non-disclosure agreements, there are security considerations. So that's taken care of, and you know, we sign the right things. We put the right controls and safeguards from both sides to make sure that everything is you know, according to the company's IT requirements. So definitely that's in line with the expectations.
Okay, and then someone else wanted to know what are the cases when the model is not a good fit? And I think again that was SVA or something.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, again, the model is one alternative. The other thing, I mean, probably the advantage of the model also, you try resources. So you see resources, you see PMOs, you see PMs, you see testers, reviewers from different perspectives. You worked with them few days, few weeks. If you like any one of them, you can hire the person. So you can move forward with a full-time hiring, part-time hiring. So we're not against that. We encourage that. So we encourage the talent movement because that's what's good for our resources. We want them to be, to move freely between PMSOX, clients, different areas. So you have the traditional way of doing things. You have the virtual shared model to think about. But a good mix, I think, that's a good question. A good mix would be the great, would yield great results.
Okay, I think that's about it. So,
thank you so much, April, for helping here with the Q&A and with everything behind. Once again, thank you for being the brains behind the successful Zoom engagement with our members. Thank you, members, and non-members for participating today. I appreciate Omar sharing your experience with us and answering the questions. April posted a link to the CPE in the chat. Thank you all, and remember, we have a in-person meeting for December at the Columbia Tower in downtown Seattle. Thank you all, and have a great day.
thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Eduardo. Thanks, April. Thanks for having me.